Hey everyone, Amia here from Residence Astrology and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about the core theme of visibility and how most likely this is really going to transform over this weekend and the upcoming next week because of the Sun and Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. I really feel like we are entering like a new territory. Like this Sun Pluto conjunction is really, I feel like we're getting the first glimpse of how this year and the monumental changes that are happening this year are going to start unfolding. Why is this important? It's important because this is the first time we get a Sun-Pluto conjunction in the sign of Aquarius. Pluto has already dipped into Aquarius, but in 2023, when Pluto first dipped into Aquarius, it was around mid-March, so the sun was already out of Aquarius. And then in 2024, actually, just one day before Sun and Pluto moved into Aquarius, both of them conjoined, but it was still 29 degrees of Capricorn. So this is the first Sun-Pluto conjunction we are getting in our lifetimes in the sign of Aquarius. So this is setting up a whole new base. And because the sun has so much to do with like this ideal image we portray and this golden path and just like how we present ourselves, I feel like the core theme of visibility is really changing. I just felt it's being so prominent. I feel like so many people are just talking about visibility right now. And so I just want to give my contributing factor to that. And it's interesting because I'm kind of being more visible myself, sharing more of myself online as well. And I think it's particularly interesting because Saturn in Aquarius has a lot to do with the internet, because the internet kind of really became a thing once Saturn was in Aquarius, which was a little bit over 30 years ago. And then last time Saturn was in Aquarius, which was a few years ago, we really got like this maturation of the internet. I mean, it was really during the pandemic times and everything that when Saturn was in Aquarius. And I feel like that drastically changed the way that people interacted with the online world versus the real world, because most of us in quarantine, like we had to be online or wanted to be online more. And so it really made the internet mature in a way, which is very Saturn-like. It's a very Saturnine quality to mature things and get them to like their next level, so to say. So it's, I think, very important that with the Sun and Pluto conjunction in the early degrees of Aquarius, we are kind of getting a glimpse of, like it's another point of how do I want to present myself in the online space. I also think it's interesting that in the US, I'm in Europe, so it's not really affecting us that way, but like the whole TikTok ban thing that's happening and going on, and people are switching to a news site. So I feel like there's gonna be some sort of transformation in how we show up on the space of the internet, and just our own self-perception and how we let other people perceive us. It's very, because the sun is in its home sign in Leo, right? So in the sign of Aquarius, the sun is in what we call in its detriment. It's not really doing so well there. And we can really see this in the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius really is the only sign that has a function out of all the other signs. Aquarius is the water bearer. So it isn't Leo, it isn't the lion, it isn't Scorpio the scorpion or anything like that. It's Aquarius, the water bearer. So even in its name, it has a function. It is doing something. It is bearing something. And oftentimes, the flaws of Aquarius in that sense can be that it detaches itself from its own humanity because it's just focused on how it can serve humanity. Like there's this quote, or people often say the thing of like, oh, Aquarius loves humanity, but it hates humans. And I think this is something we can really see here because like in the sign itself, because again, it's like it wants to serve humanity. It wants to bear, the waters, the burdens of humanity. But so much so that sometimes Aquarius can really just detach itself from actually being a human and having human needs. And this is where this sort of flawed self-perception can come in, and why the sun is in its detriment there, because Aquarius is also a fixed sign, right? Let's not forget that. So it can easily believe in some sort of image and put itself in the image as well. Like, even the outsider can come a sort of perfect ideal that Aquarius gets thrust into, and then breaking out of that image and, you know, admitting something like, oh, I actually do like something that is mainstream, or I actually want to dress more normal, or I want to have, I don't know, a normal family life. I don't want to be such an outsider can be very difficult for Aquarius to admit. So like the weirdo, sort of say, like the archetype of the weirdo can become a trap in and of itself, where again, Aquarius like traps itself into its own image of perfection. So it's really the thing with like Aquarius and Leo, and I mean that's with all the signs that are opposing each other. They're often the same coin from different sides. And in a way, what Aquarius actually often teaches Leo, so to say, is to detach, you know, to that it can be a good thing to detach and not take everything so personal, and let some sort of higher power work through them, and that they're not, you know, Aquarius really teaches us in a way that we aren't really special, and that not being special isn't such a bad thing. Leo, on the other hand, is like, no, you are special, you are unique, and it can teach Aquarius like more self-acceptance and taking more credit for the work you do, because sometimes Aquarius can really be detached in a way that it's like, oh yeah, God is working through me, like none of this is mine, and this is a wonderful quality itself. But this is, again, it's like there isn't really a right or wrong answer in this. It's just sometimes we need to learn this lesson, sometimes we need to learn that lesson. But the main point I'm trying to really make here is that our visibility and the way we perceive ourselves and the way that we want to be perceived, or like the imagery we throw out, is really about to drastically change, especially on the internet. Because even the past few years, again, when I look back at the most recent Saturn in Aquarius cycle, the way we interact over the internet is really impactful. and it can create all sorts of things, because again, it's not real life. Like when I'm on camera, I turn it off, like I'm not, like I want to believe that I'm the same person, but it's not exactly, like it's not a real interaction, so to say, that I am speaking to you directly. You're maybe seeing this video 2 weeks from now on, so whatever I'm saying, speaking now into the camera, it is like it's packed in this void, it's packed in this video and stored, and you can witness me, how I am in the moment that I was, but 2 weeks from now on, I might be a different person. Like, not like a drastically different person, but I might be a different person. I might already have new thoughts, new ways of thinking. So I think this is this interesting part of like the fixedness of Aquarius and the internet, because the videos we make or the photos that we produce and post, it's a snippet, it's a frozen tidbit. But then all of the perceptions of people are in the present moment. Like, even if somebody watches this video 5 years from now or whatever, if it's like the first video they see of me or something, they're gonna build up or some sort of perception of me, but it's gonna be completely off, because I'm gonna be a completely different person 5 years from now. So this is like this interesting thing of like the fixedness in Aquarius. Like, in a way, we're constantly adapting and evolving, but then we freeze these videos and moments, and this is how we build some sort of like online persona. And now it's really like forcing us to reevaluate, well, how do I want to be perceived? And there's also like, it's good to inquire these questions, because the way that I perceive myself might be different than you perceive myself. And it's good to listen. It's good to listen how other people perceive you at times. Like, you shouldn't like take things at face value at all, but it's good to inquire how people perceive you. because it can really be helpful. Like if you have a distorted self-image and you're like really like putting yourself down a lot, and you know, hating yourself is an ego trip in and of itself, just saying. But what I guess what I'm trying to say is that it can be useful, because I, for one, I constantly get the feedback that I have a super calm voice and people like the way that I speak. I might have a harder time perceiving myself that way, but if so many people are saying this to me over and over again, like it would be stupid of me to ignore that sort of feedback and compliment. Like if something is constantly repeated and repeated to you, like start taking this seriously. Like if people are constantly telling you dress super well, or the way that you talk is making them feel seen, like don't take this lightly. This means something, okay? Like not everybody has a talent, okay? Not everybody can sing well, not everybody can write well, not everybody can express themselves well, not everybody can dress in a way that makes people turn their heads. So if this is something you're exhibiting and you're constantly getting compliments or people saying something about you, or you're getting some sort of feedback through symbols, like that means something. And don't ignore that. Like in a way, Leo is very much focused on the self and what internally wants to come out, and we need these times of like even maybe solitude or something, even though solitude is kind of more like an Aquarius thing. But even Leo, like Leo needs some sort of solitude to really establish who the heck am I even? Because like how do you want to love yourself if you don't even know what the self is? It doesn't really work, right? So, and to get to know yourself, you gotta have periods of time where you spend time on your own just to see like, what do I like? What would I do if the outer world didn't really have a say? So in an interesting way, I would not be surprised if people will start taking even more social media breaks or something, because it's these periods where we are in solitude, where we just go out in nature and just are, there's no judgment, are so vital and important for us to really get back to our essence. Because when we know who we are, we can show up much more authentically in the online world as well. And this is the important part. If you are not showing up afterwards, like once you know kind of who you are and you're like ignoring that, you're not really showing up, you're missing the purpose of all of this. Like some people, like not everybody is meant to be famous, not everybody is meant to be super visible. But if you are denying yourself, like when you feel this urge, like even when you're in a social setting, like when you feel this urge internally, like, oh my gosh, I want to say something, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm saying. Or you get this nudge, or you're just like, actually, I really want to dress up today. I just want to go out. Like, if you're ignoring that, you're doing such a disservice to yourself and the people around you. Because as the saying goes, how the heck will the people that need to find you if you're hiding, if you're not speaking your words, if you're not dressing the way you're dressing, if you're not doing the hobbies that you want to do? How are you going to let the people find you that need to hear what you have to say? So in a way, all of this is, I think in Aquarius, it's just reminding us how collective all of this is, and how we are connected to each other, that we're like mirrors of each other. And if something in the outer world is constantly like reflecting yourself back, like, oh, hey, what you have to say is important, don't ignore that. Like, seriously, like, don't underestimate the ripple effect that you being you has on the collective. Because just one more person stepping into their power and trying to be more true to who they are online, like it gives permission for other people to do so as well. And this is like the interesting dichotomy between like Aquarius and Leo, right? Because it's like, who am I to create this? Who am I to say anything? But like, who are you not to say nothing? And Sun and Pluto can also bring uncomfortable and necessary visibility, which can go in both ways. I think with a lot of things as we're seeing in the world, Sun and Pluto can also really uncover dark, hidden truths that need to be brought into light. So things in forms of scandals, or maybe, famous people, idols that have this usually perfect image set upon themselves. Things come to the forefront and this image of perfection gets shattered. This is also very Sun Pluto conjunction, especially because the Sun is about longevity. And we have had the Sun, Pluto, and Aquarius story for so long, and now it's a different Sun, Pluto story because it's in the sign of Aquarius, and this is just a beginning. So, like, we're gonna have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is literally the beginning of a new story of self-perception and visibility, and how we want to present ourselves to the world, how we want to be perceived. And it's about to change. It's about to transform. Like, this is literally just the start. But think about if anything like that is happening in your life. If you have been trying to uphold some sort of perfect image, or just image of perfection and not being flawed, because Aquarius has a really hard time being flawed. Because again, it's the dichotomy of like, I just want to serve humanity, and like, I can't accept that I'm a human being and have human needs. And like, Aquarius is like, oh, I need to like eat and drink and feed this body and like, have needs of connection. Like, ew, like, I just want to serve. I don't want to think about this vessel. So Aquarius can really struggle with that. And this is how also like an online image can be built around like perfection, or just some sort of image of like never having any sort of flaws. But it's really giving us the invitation of partaking in being human. And being human ultimately means being flawed, and Aquarius has a hard time accepting that. And what's even more interesting, if we think of the other sign where the Sun is not doing well, where the Sun is in its fall, it's the sign of Libra. And it's so interesting how both of them, because Libra also often just has this perfect image, because Libra is extremely socially aware of how, other people perceive them, or how they perceive other people. And this is kind of how Libra works. It's very aware of like the social injustices done. Like, Libra notices a lot of things. It's very socially aware. And so it's interesting that both of these signs struggle with like perfection and letting down the veil and really being who they truly are. And both of them have, Saturn in a good, like, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, Libra is the exaltation of Saturn. Obviously, Libra still has Venus. This is why it's, I guess, more like socially aware and everything. Aquarius doesn't have Venus, so Aquarius is kind of less socially aware. And I think this is where like more of the outsider, weirdo archetype from Aquarius comes in, where, because Aquarius is much more eccentric. I think Libra as a sign, like as an archetype, okay, like I know in your birth chart it's showing up probably in a different way because we have more than one sign happening, okay? Just because I know someone's gonna comment like, oh, I'm a Libra and I've constantly felt like a weirdo. It's like, I know you probably have other placements, and Venus, maybe your Venus might be in a different sign. So, just before anyone comments that. But Libra, okay, Libra as an archetype without it being in your birth chart. But Libra just has this, because Libra has Venus. So it is more socially aware of social cues and how to fit in, and also wants to usually fit in much more. And Aquarius kind of really doesn't. It just kind of really cares to, because it's also an air sign. Okay, both of them are air signs, and air itself, the element, is about our relationships and about our connections. But Aquarius, out of all the three air signs, being, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, it's the most it's the most out there. It's the most like unairy air, right? Because if I think of the element of air, it's so Gemini, right? Mutable air, air is mutable in and of itself, constantly changing, and we can't really see it. It's so intangible. Libra, cardinal air, it's something like, you know, whirlwinds and things getting started. But fixed air is like, we don't really like fixed air so much. Like, fixed air feels very claustrophobic, and just like, if I think of fixed air, I guess I'm thinking of either, you know, air that has been in a room for a long while and nobody opened the window, or fixed air in nature being something like, sorry guys, I just had to Google. I have like, my brain functions in 3 languages, so sometimes I forget words. But yeah, what I also think of Aquarius in nature is fog. And, you know, not coincidentally, I think fog, at least here in the northern hemisphere, a lot of like the fog days and everything are during winter, during Aquarius season. So yeah, there's this whole fixedness of Aquarius. And actually, before we get the Sun Pluto conjunction, Venus and Saturn will conjoin as well. And this again, it's interesting because Pisces is a mutable water sign. It's very malleable. And I think a lot of us that are afraid of visibility and stepping into the limelight, we only see these people that, you know, are doing their, like, we go on someone's Instagram profile and we just see their life. Now we forget how much blood, sweat, and tears it took many people to get to where they are now, to get the followers they have, to sell the courses they have right now. And I think Venus and Saturn, I mean, Venus Saturn in generally just reminds us always that good things take time. But because it's a mutable water sign, it also reminds us that in this process that takes blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of time, we are allowed to be malleable, to change, to redirect however much we want. Like, if something doesn't fit you anymore, you're allowed to make changes. You're allowed to change who you are all the time. And so I love that Venus and Saturn are coming together, like just a bit before Pluto and Sun are coming together, because it's giving us this push of like, hey, your image is allowed to change. You're allowed to not have a static image. And even if you have been on the internet for a while, you're allowed to change too. It's a good thing. I don't know who said this, right? But something along the lines of like, if you're not cringing at who you were like a year ago from now, you probably haven't grown. And if you haven't grown, that's not a good thing. We don't want to be static, okay? And Sun Pluto just really thrusts this, right? Because Pluto kind of is about transformation. So it really thrusts this idea upon us about like some sort of fixed idea we had about ourselves in Aquarius that probably got established during the like Saturn in Aquarius years, and maybe, you know, Jupiter moving through Aquarius as well, which was mostly like 2021. So I wouldn't be surprised if whatever you like image you had on yourself or started developing of yourself in 2021 is now kind of coming to get transformed and more matured, and really just give you the invitation of saying like, hey, we need you, okay? We need everyone. And this is also what I've constantly been saying about this year in general. If you're still here, if you're still breathing, you're meant to be here. You're meant to witness this. Like, I get it. It's exciting and equally terrifying. I fully get you. I'm there with you. But we're all meant to be here. We're all meant to experience this great shift together. And it's just, I felt similar at the beginning of 2020, but back then it just really felt like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to handle the changes that are gonna happen. And now it feels honestly just more exciting, because in a way it's like the only way out is through. So we might as well just go through. Like there's no, like, we're not going back. And if we're not going back, what the hell can you do? You just gotta keep on walking. And yeah, this is what this year invites us. And now it's getting real. Like, Venus, Saturn, and Pluto, Sun are like, this is about to get real. Like, this year, the changes that are happening this year are about to get freaking real. And it all starts with your perception of your own visibility, of your self-worth, how you show up for yourself, how you show up in the world, your self-perception, and how you let other people perceive you. And this starts now. And yeah, I think I'm going to end it here because otherwise I'm just going to keep on talking and talking. And I'm super excited. I want to show up more in the online space as well. Like, I'm influenced by this change as well. So yeah, I hope we get to go on this journey together, and I hope it's going to be a fun one. I'm here to show up. Like, I'm super ready. I think in 2020 I wasn't really ready, but now I'm ready. And yeah, like, I'm ready. Like, let's hold each other's hands, like, let's hold each other's hands and walk through this new era together. And I'm excited having you here. If you want to join this, feel free to like this video and subscribe. And yeah, I'll have my links down below if you want to follow me on Instagram. And I'm still doing the podcast about the houses. It's such a fun series, and I have so many. Like, I want to talk about the planets. I want to talk about the decans. It's gonna be fun, and I'm ready, And I think that's also what Venus and Saturn often reminds us of like the good things take time thing. It's like, I guess I'm gonna use this metaphor even though I don't eat meat, but that if you put the turkey into the oven and you undercook it, and you take it out too soon, it's not gonna be good. But if you leave it in the right amount of time, and as far as I know, baking turkeys takes quite an amount of time, if you take it out at the perfect time, it will taste amazing because it will be ready. So yeah, this is it for today's video. Have a wonderful weekend. Let me know how things are going on in your life, and I will see you soon. Bye.